You have a collect call from. You have a collect call from. You have a collect call from.
Dante.
An inmate at California Correctional Facility to accept push 5.
Saladin, can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir.
The one and only man, my main man, holding it down on the inside, getting it done. We're about to see you. We're about to see you soon. You know, with that release date. You know what I mean? With the whole that law that passed about 76,000 inmates are about to get released. Even some
Yes,
violent,
sir. Yes,
whatever
sir.
you want to call it, violent inmates. So that'll be yeah, whatever you want to call it, violent or serious crime. Inmates are about to get out. So that's I'm pumped for you, bro. And big things are in your way with that whole podcast deal.
Yes, sir.
It's a new chapter for you, chapter 2, man. That second chance, and
Yes, sir, brother.
the light, for you's bright. So we got you on here for a part 2. We're about to get it going. The trauma, the gang life, all that correlating in together, the positives and negatives. I don't think the people ain't ready for it though, right? People
Yeah,
ain't
they
ready for
gotta
the
be
heat.
ready. Yes,
And
sir.
and Saladin, man, if you guys don't know, he's a real intelligent dude, really genuine dude, and he's been, taking notes, studying on certain things to master his podcast. So he really takes it serious, and show him some love. Drop some love in the comments if you guys are watching this for Saladin. Yeah, so we're about to get it going. The trauma, the gang life, outside the gang life, the positives and negatives. Saladin's about to touch on all that, and it's about to be a great one. So you guys just sit back, chill. If you guys are in the car right now, just kick back, whatever it may be. It's about to be a good one. But you guys already know the boy. You guys, I don't got to give a bio on Saladin. You guys got to know him by now. If you guys don't know him, go back to part 1. So, so I'm gonna let the boy take it.
Yes, sir, man. Always, brother. It's a pleasure and honor to be able to talk to you, brother. Before we do anything, we have to give glory to the Most High God, brother. That allows us to be able to connect on this level, brother. So I'm grateful. Thank you, brother, for your positive work and giving me an opportunity. Like I said, brother, we trying to bring some healing into the world.
Absolutely, man. I mean, with you, like the experiences that you encountered throughout your life and the things you've seen, the trauma. Not everyone can go with they can't step in your shoes. Basically, you know what I mean. It's going to take a real strong soldier, to go what you had to go through during your youth years and now currently in prison. You know what I mean. It's not easy, facing the demons,
Yes, sir.
trying to overcome it, but keeping your head down and doing what you do.
Yes, sir. So,
But
you when we had a conversation, you kind of asked me in regards to trauma and the result of gang violence and the type of mindset is developed from that experience. But like I was sharing with you, I said it will be immature to go into that without first pointing out what led to that. And so, one of the things that I think that is important for us to understand is that um, within the 60s, a lot was going on, brother. You know, um, in my conversations with brothers, I informed them that, within that particular year, God was angry. You know, we seen the rise of the Black Panther Party, AIM, the American Indian Movement, the Brown Berets, um, Ron Karenga, the U.S., United Slaves, You know, there was just countless um, movements, you know, that was rising to the occasion. Why? Well, I mean, Black America, we was traumatized, brother. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? In 65, you know, uh, our brother, you know, Malcolm X was assassinated,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, we were still suffering from that because anytime you have someone, you know, that stands on your side and defends you and protects you and you lose that person, it affects you, you
Right.
know, because who do we have to defend us? Who do we have to speak on our behalf? So that was a brother that did that very effectively. So he was
Right.
assassinated for doing that, brother.
Right.
That traumatized us. Then, you know, in 68, brother, Dr. Martin Luther King get assassinated, brother.
Too
Dr.
powerful, man.
King, brother. He was assassinated, brother. He was our hope. You know, that brother was our hope, you know. Uh and and for us and for Black America, you know, he was the physical appearance of Jesus for us, brother.
Right.
You know, when we read the text and when we learn about, you know, the master teacher, you know, going through Galilee and, you know, healing the people and, you know, laying hands on them and raising the dead. You know, Dr. King did that, brother.
Right.
He did that. You know what I'm saying? So that was took from us, you know. So we was traumatized by that, brother.
And Saladin,
Mhm.
real quick. Saladin, real quick. It's especially during that time. You know, the whole segregation and stuff, and the mass incarceration. That's when it kind of started because currently now the system's getting a little bit better, but the black mass incarceration is still intact. People serving 25 to life.
Mhm.
They lived that life in the 60s and 70s and stuff. And that was our, like you said, that was our God that we looked up to because that was our voice. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And during that time, it was hard, to get your voice heard, especially being black in America. And like right now, I feel like society's kind of changing in a way because now we have technology.
Mhm.
We have, for example, like LeBron James.
Mhm.
People that are like influencers, black influencers. That can help us get our voice out there, and civil rights activists and stuff like that. But with the whole Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, is America couldn't handle it. He was too powerful, and the government, I think, took him out, both of them out, even the Kennedys, and it's just very unfortunate, But it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop us pushing it and keep moving in the right direction. They'll try to always, put us down in the dirt, but it we're too strong, man. We're too strong.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. Like I say, from the rise of the black movements in the '60s and the J. Edgar Hoover, you know, plots and schemes. You know, he developed initiatives, you know, to make sure that the black family don't produce no more Dr. Kings and Malcolm X's, brother.
Right.
You know, so when you look back in history, this is what I'm grateful for having my grandparents that we used to sit in the living room and sit around and listen and pay attention to what they were speaking because as a child, I learned that in the '70s, you know, my grandparents, you know, they were employed in factories, right? They had factory jobs, you know, in the South. But then in the '70s, brother, these factory jobs was being, you know, tore down and out of business. And, you know, a lot of factories was going overseas. So guess what? Now my grandpa don't have a job no more, brother.
Right.
But now be mindful that it was our grandparents that was supporting the civil rights movement. It was their dollars that was helping Dr. King and Malcolm X and Honorable Elijah Muhammad in their efforts to try to free black people from this type of oppression. So somebody devised the scheme, brother, to damage that support.
Right.
So in the 70s, brother, you know, a lot of our grandparents, you know, they lost their factory jobs and, you know, the financial security that ultimately was helping the civil rights movement. But then in addition to that, brother, you know, at that particular time, I was taught by my grandparents that you can learn a trade in school, brick mason, welding, you know, small engine repair. So now these trades was took out to school. So now you not given the opportunity to learn a skill to do for self. So now just imagine your grandpa coming home and he done lost his job, right? Don't have a skill. So now this is creating confusion within the home,
Right.
you know, desperation. You know, this is the 70s, brother. You know, they put a whammy on us. You know, this is what was going on. And then in the 80s, we had the crack era, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
So we know what that did, the type of effect that had on the black community, you know what I'm saying, and our parents and so forth, right? And our relationship with our people, you know.
Right.
And then in the 90s, you had the Bill Clinton crime bills, 3 strikes, 10, 20 to life, lock them up, throw away the key.
That was all bad.
So, you know, from the 60s, you know, with the assassinations, you know, they embedded the fear in our psychic, you know, the hope was gone. A lot of people stopped, you know, a lot of black people stopped believing in God when they killed Dr. King, because in our minds, how could you allow God? And this is our conversation with God.
Right.
God, how could you allow them to kill him and he was helping us? How? You know what I'm saying? I mean, why didn't you protect him? So a lot of our people lost hope in that particular time. You know what I'm saying? So from the hopeless state of the 60s of our greats being assassinated, you know, then from the 70s, you know, they financially castrated us.
Right.
Then in the 80s, you know, they put the crack, you know what I'm saying, in our communities, right? You know, so now they got us mentally, you know what I'm saying, disorientated. Then you got Bill Clinton with his initiatives, the crime bills, 3 strikes you out, 10, 20 to life. But then in 2001, you know, George Bush, he comes up with the faith-based initiative. So now, you know, the black churches and the black community have an opportunity to get financial aid from the government. But guess what, brother? When you fill out them grants to get aid from the government, on that grant, brother, they telling you not to involve yourself in political affairs
Right.
if you want this money. So now we know within our history, brother, the black church played a very important role in our development, fighting for freedom, justice, and equality, brother,
Absolutely.
with education, with the abolishment of slavery. You know, it was the black church that was on the forefront, you know, with the freedom rides and supporting Dr. King and, you know, and our people, brother, you know what I'm saying, to get across, you know what I'm saying, our cry for help.
Right.
So now you telling us that the church can't involve themselves in Black Lives Matter issues no more. So that kind of paralyzed our community, brother, because it was the church that we looked to for guidance.
Right.
So now if they get involved in these issues that's dealing with, you know, black improvement, their grant is taken away. So, you know, this is, you know, when you hear people use the term systematically, you know, when you have a system, right, that means that you have a process in what you're doing, right? So they had a
Absolutely.
process, brother. You know what I'm saying? They had a process, a well thought out plan, you know, to paralyze us and to put us in a situation where we cannot, you know what I'm saying, make progress, brother. And this is real. You know, this isn't talk. You know, this is in the history books. But you know, as they say, you want to keep something from black people, hide it in the book because we don't read.
Right. Yep. That's right.
You know,
Hey, hey, Salty, real quick. You know what's pretty wild? They got liquor. You notice that if you ever been into a real like suburban, neighborhood, community, whatever, I have not seen one liquor store not one. And I not one at all. And it's just like gas stations. It may be a Chevron. They're not going to have your Valero or your Arco in a nice neighborhood. They're going to have your Chevron. But it's like when you go to these poverty communities, you know, it's liquor stores on every corner. You know what I mean? And they're promoting beer, and they're promoting cigarettes and the menthols, and it's set up to kill our own people, bro. And it's sad to see how the government is doing it and how they're all behind it. But a lot of people are uneducated on the fact that it's like you mentioned, it's a system. It's all systematic, So it's just wild.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. You know what I'm saying? One day I had an opportunity. I was watching a documentary about Geronimo. The Great Apache. Warrior. That stood and fought. The Union. On behalf of his people. And um, when they rounded up the Apaches and migrated them. To Florida and put them on reservations, small plantation settlements, we should say, right?
Right.
So they was given rules, and one of the rules that they were told is that they can't drink liquor. And the chiefs asked them why, like, why are you concerned about what we drink? And they said, well, it is known that, if you drink liquor, you act up, you get violent, So, this knowledge in regards to, different substance and what it does and the type of effect that it has on our physical makeup, brother, they're aware of that, brother.
Right.
So, I mean, why not put a liquor store on every corner so these niggas, can get drunk and kill each other or act a fool or, go home and act other than their natural self and abuse their wives and be cruel to their children, because, by, drinking, it affects you, brother.
That's
They know
right.
that. And then,
Absolutely.
if you look back and you just pay attention, right? Now, like I was sharing with you, I grew up at 1536 West 68th Street. Now, at this particular time I grew up, the environment was predominantly black and Hispanics. So now, when we go to the dairies and liquor stores, they're Koreans and Asians. Now, my thing is, there's no Koreans and Asians on my block, brother.
Right.
So you mean to tell me I mean, how are you, able to obtain, ownership of these stores in my community, but you don't live over here?
Right.
I mean, I could never understood that, but here you have people within the community, that have money, have, business savvy, I mean, they're not equipped to run a business in their own community. I mean, you have other people that live in Westminster and North Hollywood, Santa Monica and Huntington Park Beach coming down in my hood, operating businesses. And then when I come in your store, I'm suspicious. You standoffish towards me. You telling me, come in and buy and get the hell up out of here. And you like that, right? Because there's no relation, there's no acquaintance.
Right.
There's no acquaintance. But with the overseas agreements and the overseas, what I'm saying, initiatives, we have other ethnicities that's allowed to come into America and get grants and get money to start businesses and do for self. And with that comes along the talk. See, it's a talk that comes along with that. So at that point, when they get that talk, see, they have to make a decision who they want to side with. So when you come into a country, right, and you see that the blacks is treated bad in this country, then quite naturally you'll be like, I don't want to hang with them. They treated bad,
Right.
right? So you start to side up with those that's in favor. And so this is why we have this standoffish type of, you know, attitude, when it comes to, Asians, out there, which is our brothers and sisters. They are brothers and sisters. But they want a better life for themselves, right? They don't want to, put themselves in no type of situation, right? So that fear, of getting ahead is manipulated. And now they put in a position where they have to take a side of, you know, do we side with, white eccentric thoughts, or do we cling to the people that's in this community? And more than likely, brother, they're gonna do what they feel they need to do to
Make that
protect
money.
themselves and to protect their families, brother.
Right.
So a lot of times we are manipulated into ideas and conditions, not because our heart tells us that, but when you look at the big picture, you like, that's just too much to bear for me. So, you know, these things, these traumas, right? Because all that is traumatic. All that is traumatic situations, from, like I said, what we went through with the assassination of, our prophets. It's easy for us to read the Bible about Jeremiah and Abraham and David, and, okay. But we didn't live 2,000 years ago, brother.
Right.
But now what about the Dr. Kings and the Mega Evers and, the Sojourner Truths and Ida B. Wells and Frederick Douglass, and, these are our prophets, brother.
Right.
I'm saying, that God inspired, to bring forth a change within our communities and in our life. I'm saying? So, when we lose our prophets, it takes away hope from us, brother. You know, and so we feel hopeless, without answers, and that leads to something very traumatic, that takes place. What would give a 16-year-old young black child an idea to develop a gang? Let's look at that though, brother, because people always, oh, you gang banging, you causing problems and you're causing mischief, right? But what would make a young black man, 16 years old, to sit in his house, brother, and think of creating a gang? Okay, well, I mean, no one talks about the spook hunters, brother. You had white youth coming from Huntington Park in trucks, you know, with baseball bats, chasing blacks, busting black kids across the head. You know what I'm saying? Because predominantly, at particular times, brother, the West Side was, occupied by white people.
Right.
And majority of the blacks was on the East Side. So our parents, in their strategy to try to protect their children, taught us to walk to school together, right? So we walked to school together. We walked home together. These were methods to keep us safe from these type of attacks. So now just imagine you, a young kid, having to navigate to school, but have to worry about being harassed by adults
Crazy.
because you're black, right? So these young men, they had enough common sense to say, man, you know what, man, we need to kind of, come together, man. We can't keep going through this. So they took charge of their situation, brother. And they started to formulate ideas ultimately to protect themselves from the type of abuse and cruelty that they was coming into contact with. See, nobody talks about that.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody talks about that, brother. When you look at the history of Stanley Tookie Williams, you know what I'm saying? You know how he grew up, he had good grandparents. You know, he come from a good stock. So, no one just wakes up one day and be like, let me cause destruction in my community. Let's make that clear. No one just come up with that idea. Why? Because, we're not wired that way. God didn't wire us that way. It's things that's going on around us, brother. What I'm saying? That's provoking these adverse thoughts for us to survive in the situation that we in, brother.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, what do you do? You know, do
What
you
can
suffer?
you do?
You know, do you suffer from this, or do you see it's the God in you? I remember we was talking and you said, brother, like, man, you did all that time. Like, I mean, how did you do it? And I told you that, it's a God thing. See, God is in this, brother, and he has to exist, so he's going to give us ideas to thrive through the situation. And they sit back like, man, that dude been in Pelican Bay Shoe for 30 some years. How did he do it? It wasn't how he do it. It's the God in him that did it.
Hey, Saladin, real quick, brother. Um, now real quick. Now without can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Without God and without your family, do you think you'd be able to do that 20 plus?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. It's certain things that you have to know, what I'm saying, to ground you, without having wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, it's hard to move forward without that. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
When we look at the narration of the book of Exodus and how, Moses freed the children of Israel from the tyranny of Pharaoh, and they wandered in the desert for 40 years. As they was escaping that oppression, one of the things that was necessary for their development was, enlightenment. So Moses had to go up and get the 10 Commandments to bring it back to the people to show them how they must live their life.
Right.
So we need guidance. I needed to know that in difficulty, I need to pray. I needed to know, what I'm saying, that when certain situations come our way, I have to remain strong and I have to have fortitude. See, that has to be taught to you, brother.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because without these things, then your mind, it's not prepared. You see what I'm saying? To deal with the circumstances that you face with. And you become a victim. I've seen many brothers commit suicide, brother.
Damn.
I've seen many brothers, what I'm saying, involve themselves in drug abuse and, become addicts and so forth like that because their minds wasn't strong enough to deal with the reality that I got life in jail. I'm never going home. I have no family support. You know, just imagine thinking about that every day, brother.
Damn.
And there's no
And,
hope.
and having to deal with the stuff on the inside.
Most definitely, brother, because, and being in these type of environments, when you dealing with people from different walks of life, everyone has their own idea about who they are and what things should be, and so, when I first came, what I'm saying, to the system, I was blessed to be in the company of older heads that taught me, like, look, this cell was designed to break you, brother. That's what this cell is designed to break you. So this is what I want you to do so you can resist being broke. You need to work out, brother. Keep your body physically in shape. You need to read books. You need to feed off the inspirational stories of our ancestors and our people that struggle through difficult situations to inspire you. So I read about Nelson Mandela. I read about, what I'm saying, our people, that went through great difficulty. And so when difficulty came my way, I was able to remember their stories and that inspired me to stay strong through it. You follow me, brother?
Right.
And these are the things that I was taught by the old heads. You know, at the particular time I first came to prison, they was in the business of protecting their young homies. We were protected. It was their responsibility to protect us. And then so protecting us, we were taught, how to live our life this type of way and what we should do to keep our minds and our bodies together so that we won't, become a victim, what I'm saying, to this design, what I'm saying, that was created for us, brother. So that's trauma. Could you imagine? I'm a mama's boy and I'm coming to prison. Took it away from my family, my mama, and I put in the cell. And I'm not even told. I'm not given a manual book on how to survive prison. Brother, you don't come up in here with no manual book on how to survive prison,
Mm.
and they just throw you in a cell with somebody you don't know, right? Where you did the crime, so you do the time.
I think that's but the thing is though, Saladin, how did you overcome like trauma never goes away, but how do you cope with it? Like what do you like how do you cope with it knowing that, the stuff that you've encountered, the gang life when you're young and dealing with stuff in prison and how did you cope with it other than like, having God because, God's always gonna look out for you, but you gotta look out for yourself and you're in control of yourself.
Okay.
So how did you cope with it, and how was that for you?
Well, growing up, brother, in South Central, brother, you know what I'm saying? And like I explained to you, being a part of the A-Trade Gangster Crips, at that particular time, one of our so-called rivals was the Rolling 60 Crips, right? And as we was a strong set to be reckoned with, they were too. So as we had riders, they had riders. You know what I'm saying? So, when you deal with individuals that's on your level, it makes you develop a certain type of mindset of strength. You follow me, brother?
Right.
So I grew up in the community and we was strong. My homeboys, we was fighters. We did everything that we needed to do to survive the situation at hand. You know what I'm saying? So, developing the mindset of being strong, dealing with situations that come our way. You know what I'm saying? We were built like that, brother. We were strong. And we took pride in that, you know what I'm saying, in our camaraderie and our unity, with each other, that ultimately allowed us to survive, what I'm saying, destructive elements. So me being, shaped, you know, to have that mentality, allowed me to step into situations and to be strong about it. And this is what I was telling you before when you asked me, like, okay, well, brother, you kind of had a different upbringing, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, um, do I hold fault, towards the individuals that kind of, press me to make a decision. And this is what I was telling you, like, no, because when you know better, you do better. So at this
Right.
time, what they was doing, they thought they was doing the right thing. And I'm thankful, brother. You know what I'm saying? That my mind was conditioned that way because ultimately, if it wasn't, brother, I would have felt victim.
Right.
But by me having, what I'm saying, that example of, standing up for myself, not turning down no phase. You want to encounter, we're going to get it from the shoulders. This is how we're going to get the respect from the shoulders. By me learning that, you know what I'm saying, from my peers, that allowed me to step into situations and to be a man about it, you know, and to give my respect, you know, and that's no different from, the way our ancestors lived in, Southern Africa or, Western Africa or Eastern Africa, where the young man from the age of 7, what I'm saying, they go through initiation, what I'm saying, process into manhood. This is what we do in our culture. Don't have no mistake about it. You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors was warriors.
Without
When
a
they
doubt.
came into, so-called Africa, to capture our people, they didn't come from the north or the south of Africa. They came from the western part of Africa,
Right.
Senegal and Sierra Leone, and the Ivory Coast. They had to manipulate their way up into that part because ain't nowhere in the world you from to come in deep parts of Africa thinking you finna snatch back lives. They had something for you, brother.
Oh, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So trust to know it was manipulation tools. You see what I'm saying? That was in place to manipulate us into a position where we were vulnerable for them to capture us like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's in our blood, brother, to be warriors.
That's
So
right.
it's not surprising to me that if we were set up in the motherland and tribes and culture and tradition, right, that we see that on American soil. That's not surprising to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely solid. Man, we've had discussions already, and we could talk for hours, man. And I can't wait for you to get out and have our next step in life, and especially for you, man. I'm excited for you. This is a us thing, but this is also you too. Like, you're gonna have your own deal, and I'm pumped. You know what I mean? Because like I say it every time, everything happens for a reason. And I was gonna ask you real quick too. Do you live life with any regrets?
Yes, sir.
You do?
Yes,
Okay, right.
yes, sir, brother. And you know, upon me being incarcerated, you know, um, my daughter, she was born, and man, I thank God, what I'm saying, that she grew into a beautiful, mature young lady, and wasn't interested in some of the traps that I was interested in, but not being there for her, brother. You know, every child need a parent, brother.
That's facts,
Because it's the experience that you go through, right? And the things that you learn that you must hand down to your child
sir.
to equip your child, right? To be able to survive the environment that your child is growing up in. This is why I love my grandparents, because these things that I'm able to tell you, that's from me sitting in the living room listening to my grandparents, brother.
Right.
Listening. They'll make us sit down and listen. We trying to run outside. No, sit down. You're gonna listen to what I'm telling you.
Or they'll bring out that belt.
Most definitely. The switch and everything else they can get reach up. So we grew up listening, brother. And this is how they was able to pass on history to us. Very important things that we needed to learn. So, not being able to be in my daughter's life, brother, that bothers me. It bothers me a lot, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so, more than everything, I'm motivated to be free and to be able to be in her life and to let her know that the decisions that her dad made, I understand how it affected her. But I'm here now, and I hope that with the positive steps that I'm taking and establish a positive legacy, it will make my daughter be pleased with her father. You follow me, sir?
Right, absolutely.
Along with the pain, that I put my mother through. You know, could you imagine, the thought of a parent and you have certain expectations for your child and you do everything. When I was young, brother, I had the best of Christmas. My mama used to give me everything, brother.
Right.
She did everything that, in her power, to try to make me feel that I was loved and cared about. So for me to spiral out of control like that, brother, and, you know, she not knowing when I'm gonna die. And, when I was on the streets, I had a thing with my mom where, wherever I was at, before I retired and, went to bed or whatever, I called her and I'm like, Mom, I'm in. And she was like, okay, I love you. I love you. Because I used to worry her to death. She couldn't even live her life because, the thought of her son getting killed paralyzed her.
Mm.
So I regret that, brother. No child should put their parent through that.
Right. Right.
I'm not proud of that, you know. And so, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing to let my mother know, like, I made bad decisions, Mom. Um, and I know I hurt you in the process, but look at me now, though. You
Facts.
follow,
Hey,
brother?
facts.
Look at me now, Mom. And this is where I'm at with it. It's not no going back to that, brother.
Right.
And
And
so,
brother, oh, go
yes, sir.
for it. Go for it. Go
Yes,
for
sir. Brother. Them are my major regrets, brother. Hurting people. You be in that mindset, brother. You lie, you manipulate, you hurt people. Because the streets tell you, you know, it's money over this, and don't pay attention to that. Focus more on this, and it can be a young lady, whoever it may be, coming into your life, and you're just not being honest because you're more part of the culture. You follow me?
it. Right.
You're more part of what you're doing. So you're not thinking about her feelings or you know, how your lies is hurting her, or your manipulation is destroying her trust for people,
Right.
right? Because we caught up with these isms in our mind. So yeah, brother. I mean, I regret all them things, brother. You know, because if I was whole and I wasn't, my mind wasn't diseased up, then I wouldn't have did them things, brother.
Hey, brother Saladin, real quick though. That's kind of, I've never really heard anyone say that before, and I've interviewed, people that have been incarcerated and out of, post incarceration, whatever it may be, and they say, no, I don't live, life with any regrets because things happen for a reason and it's a purpose, and you mentioned your daughter and stuff like that, but for me personally, I had my dad around when I was a little younger, but I've seen things that a lot of kids my age, they don't see, that haven't seen it. You know what I mean? Prostitutes. I've told you this already. Prostitutes in and out of the house, drugs, just whatever. I can just sit here and name it, whatever. But it's made me stronger as a person because I learned right from wrong. And without that, you know what I mean? I don't know how my life would have been right now. You know what I mean? So I kind of like from your daughter's position, yeah, it's tough not having your father around, and but it could have made her a stronger person. You know what I mean? Knowing that not because the person you are now, you totally changed. But I don't want to fall. I don't want to go. Fall under my dad's steps or whatever it may have been. So she's gonna take that different path and she's gonna excel to it. You know what I mean? But it's hard because you don't have that physical. I don't know how to say, like that connection. You know what I mean? That presence.
Yeah,
That father and daughter presence. But you gotta like also think about how she's grown as a person and how she's learned on her own. You know what I mean? And it's made her strong. As a person. So yeah, I mean, I understand when he said, the regret part, but you can't always be hard on yourself, you know what I mean? Because, being in that gang life at like damn near 12 years old, 13 years old, right?
yes,
You
sir.
could be, I mean, who knows, thank God you're here today and you got caught for whatever you got caught for because you could
Mhm.
have been dead on the street.
Yeah, most
You know what I
definitely.
mean? So
Oh,
everything, like I said, everything happens for a reason, and God, puts you in different, perspectives and things. So it's a blessing having you here,
yes,
and
sir.
you're a changed man, and the knowledge and the wisdom, it's just unremarkable. I mean, like I told you, I always tell you this, man, that the professors that I've sit down and listened to, it's like, am I really learning anything? Like, you don't even have to go to college to learn anything. You can just Google it and do your own research and, different look at different articles, look at different authors and get different perspectives rather than listen to some teacher spending $15,000 a semester,
Yes, sir.
just to listen to some BS. But like I can listen to you and not look up anything, you know what I mean, and take notes just from you and learn 10 times of what I'm learning right now in college, bro. And that's facts. And I can back that up too because if I had my buddies, chime in and listen on this and then go sit in a professor's class, bro, they'd be saying the same thing. And I'm not saying that just to kind of talk you up or anything. That's facts, man. And
Yes,
whatever, you just keep doing what you're doing, and once you get out, for real, like you're inspiring a million, people right now. But once you get out, you're gonna inspire millions, bro.
yes,
And
sir.
that's facts. So
I thank you for that, brother. You know, all praises be, brother, to the Most High God. You know, glory be to the Most High, brother. You know, if it wasn't for you know, the Creator. You know, I always give reference and thanks to the Creator, brother. You know, I know you
right,
be like, you gotta, take some credit on your own, and I do with the work. You know, the discipline that I have in regards to knowing that I have to make that connection for it to work. You follow me, brother?
right,
You know, and these are the things that I learned. You know, like I was telling you, there's positive and negative aspects of trauma. Like when we look at in the Holy Bible in the book of Acts, right? These are the accounts of the apostles of Jesus of Nazareth, right? We learn about a particular character named Saul, you know, and Saul, brother, he was a very prestigious individual. He was part of the cloth, he rubbed elbows with the Sadducees and Pharisees and the Sanhedrin, and he was so desirous, brother, to kill Christians that he requested a letter, from the high priest to be able to go on down to Damascus, brother, and go kill him. So in the story I learned that on the road of Damascus, on the road to go kill Christians, brother, it said that he was blinded by a bright light and he fell off his horse. And he heard the voice of the Lord say, "Why are you persecuting me?" And he like, "Who is this?" This is the Lord. He lost his sight. You know, he ended up meeting an apostle named Ananias, that helped give him his sight back. And from Saul being a Christian killer, you know, he became Paul, a missionary of Christ, right? Now, when I look back on that, right, here you had a person that was traumatizing the Christians. I mean, they had fear of his name. You follow me, brother?
Right. I'm listening.
Fear, and, when I look at that story, I can't relate to it from a historical aspect of it. I wasn't born 2,000 years ago, brother, so today I try to modernize these stories to make sense of it, right? So just think about someone that has a title or feel he has a sense of entitlement. And so he's on his high horse. You follow me?
Right.
And then something happens in his life. Either he's told he has cancer or he has some type of terminal, illness, you know, when that's revealed to you, because light is revelation. When that's revealed to you, it knocks you off that high horse, but you get humble real quick. You follow me?
Right. Right.
And at that time, you become blinded. You become blinded from your cause or your mission, and then that's when you seek. Other people comes in, like someone they're dying or whatever. You have counselors and people come to you and they try to talk to you, try to ease your mind. From what you finna face. And that's how I kind of look at that. Experience right there. That here you have somebody that was traumatizing a community of people, right? And then he became traumatized from the experience he went through, excuse me, that led to something positive from that. You follow what I'm saying, brother?
Right.
You know, so we can look at different things, right? That we are aware of, Big Tookie, you know, uh, on death row, sitting in the cell, waiting to die, sentenced to death. The brother could have gave up, or the brother could have created more darkness from darkness, right? But from the trauma of that, the thought of me dying, the brother said, "I'm gonna do something positive from that." You see what I'm saying, brother?
Right.
The trauma, that we go through, brother, it can lead to a positive thing, or it can lead to a more destructive thing, right? It all based on
Absolutely.
the decision that you make. If someone raped you, or someone robbed you, or something happened to you, what I'm saying, that that disturbed your spirit, you have a choice to make on what you're gonna do, you know. So, from trauma, right, it leads to different things that we can do, brother. We choose to, based on the choice we make.
Absolutely. And it's all about choices. Everyone's got choices in life, whether it be difficult or easy. People can, that there's different paths you can take in life, and it's all what you choose. You know what I mean? But like I said before, I'm not too sure if I talked to you about this, but people have opportunities in life, or whatever may be the circumstance, and some people have bigger windows than others. You know, for an example, I don't really like to. This is facts, though. I mean, a lot of white people, you know, a lot of kids, you know, the family, they have money from the past. You know what I mean? It all carries down, and like the black communities, like what you talked about, you know, how our fathers, whatever, made the crack era, you know, the whole slavery deal and stuff being taken away from us, and not having that guidance in life and no direction is hard, because we're not taught how to you know, trade stocks and get stocks, and how to, you know, manage our money, stuff like that, and it's not taught in the schools. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And it's sad, bro. It's really sad, because we do have, like, for your case too. You know what I mean? You're hard in the books, hard in school. You know what I mean? You went to school, all that. You had a good family. You know, you had your Christmases and all that, like you said. And then, like, just that neighborhood, that environment you were in, you kind of got, you know, the people kind of, you know, came out to you and kind of like, you know what I mean? They kind of like made you think about it, like, you don't have a way out of here. You know what I mean? There's no way you're in it or you're not. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's very unfortunate. But when it comes to like the business and the money deal and all that, a lot of blacks have a smaller window than others, like the white people and stuff, and it's very sad. But I feel like stuff is changing, society is changing, and it's getting better. Like, you know, for the 76,000 inmates that are about to get released, you know,
Yes, sir.
it just starts with that. You know what I mean? Getting them back on the streets, you know,
Yes, sir.
getting them jobs, and transitioning
Because
them back into society. And once that happens, especially once our black people unite, it's a wrap. And they don't want that. It's all about dividing us. And but they can't. They won't divide us. And that's the thing too with the Blood and Crips. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, it was I don't know how it is now, Saladin, but back then it was kind of bad, especially during the crack era. We were against each other, and we still are.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
yeah, most
unfortunate.
definitely.
I feel like if we unite as one, you know, and that's what Fred Hampton was trying to do. You know, the Black Panthers unite as one against these systematic government, all that, the governments, and you know, Fred Hampton even tried to get the Ku Klux Klan together to form one unit, you know, with the Black Panther, and go against these government systems that are trying to, you know, take down, you know, our communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even, you know, you got your you know, not all white people, they have it. You know, there's people that, you know, live in poverty that are white also. So people, more of the story, people have a smaller windows than others, and it's very unfortunate where people lead to, but there's always a better outcome at the end of the road. And no matter how dark your tunnel is, there's always a light. So
Yeah, most definitely, brother. You know what I'm saying? What you're saying is facts. I'm gonna tell you something that I discovered that was very interesting, brother. I had read this book. It's called The Religious Beliefs of America's Founders. And this book was written by Greg L. Fraser. And, he's talking about John Adams, brother, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, you know, uh, Gouverneur Morris, and James Wilson, right? And reading that book, brother, like I said, it's called The Religious Beliefs of America's Founding Fathers.
I just wrote that down right now.
Brother, this book is a testament that they know the importance of being one with the Creator, brother. And they understand that we in a world that's alive, brother. This earth is moving, brother.
Right.
The earth is rotating. 1,037 to 1/3 mile per hour, brother. The earth is rotating, brother. It's moving. You know, on a circumference of 24,000, brother. So we in motion. So they understand this, brother. They understand that the earth is alive. These elements is alive, right? Something is in sync with this, right? So when you read this book, brother, the reasonings and the decision makers that they was making when they wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and all these things, it was concentrated on the universal plan of the Most High God, brother.
Right.
So now you mean to tell me that these people, the founding fathers of America, brother, right, was making decisions based on the plans of the Creator, brother, that if they didn't do things a particular type of way, right, that God will turn on them. They knew that, brother. They mentioned this. Benjamin Franklin mentioned this, brother. He told them at some point we have to change our ideas, because if not, God will turn on us as he turned on the people of Noah. This is what he said,
Right.
brother. So he was telling them, he was telling his colleagues, we have to be careful with the decisions that we make. At some point, we're going to have to do away with slavery, right? Because we will anger God. This is Benjamin Franklin's statement, brother, not mine. At some point, we will have to do away with slavery, or we will anger God.
Knowing they doing wrong.
So they knew, brother, that, you can't just, do what you want to do. They was aware of that, brother. You know what I'm saying? And so every aspect of American fabric, is with conscious thought behind it. You see what I'm saying? So somewhere down the line, brother, we have moved far away from that. And now we're in the day of judgment. God is angry, brother.
Oh, he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's pissed. And everything's changing now. Everything's changing slowly but surely. You know what I mean? And now that, from just talking to you, man, like over the past couple like weeks and stuff, I've learned a lot. And I have different outlooks now on certain things. So I thank you for that. Especially like the angels and stuff within the people. God's right in front of you. You know what I mean? Like he's heaven sent. These people to it's I don't know. It's just crazy. You gotta like, oh man, you just really have to understand. And like it took me a couple days to understand what you were talking about when you first mentioned about the the angels, and all that, God's right, stuff like that. He's living within these things. And it took me a couple days, but now I finally realized, what you're talking about. And now I have a different outlook on things. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir,
So
brother.
it's powerful. It's powerful for sure.
And that's a blessing, brother. And I'm glad I was able to, show my brother to that, insight, because why would we be looking up for some angels with a 50 span wing and we never seen this in our life? So what sense do that
Right.
make? But then when you read the holy text, it's talking about the work of the angel, the positive work. We given a characteristic when it comes to God. He's loving, he's merciful, he's caring, he's a protector, he's a defender. Right? So when people come in your midst and they showing these type of characteristics, then what did that tell you? The Spirit of God is in them, brother.
Right.
And then as we read about the Spirit of God, we read about the spirit of Satan. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So when you got somebody in your midst and they on that, brother, then you got the devil in front of you, brother.
Right.
I mean, it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? We human beings, right? So if God is invisible, brother, and we can't reach him, we can't obtain him, why is he concerned about human affairs?
Right.
So I just think we have to take a careful look at that again, brother.
That's right. Saladin-Da-Truth. The truth. It's the truth, man. It's the truth. What, bro? When you get out, when you start up that podcast, what's the name gonna be? What's the name of your podcast gonna be, man?
Oh,
Have
it's
you
gonna
thought
be
about
close.
that yet?
Yeah, be Gangster to God.
Yes, sir. You guys heard it.
Thanks to God.
Yes, sir. Um, I see a couple people on my YouTube. I know you can't see it from your end, but I can see it from my end. You got Tennyson Cook tapped in with you, and I think your sister tapped in with you. Sandy Miles tapped in with you, and they're just showing you some love.
Yes,
I
sir.
know you can't see it. But I can see it on my end. But they just showing you some love and stuff. But anything else? Anything else, brother? Because I know you've been saving up. I know you've been doing your studies and research for
Yes,
this.
yes, sir. Well, like, being we're gonna do the part 3 of this interview, I'm gonna go into when I met God. I want to share with you how I met God, because that was an experience, that I went through, what I'm saying, that opened up my eyes. So uh I'm gonna say that for that, brother. You hear me?
You're gonna give him the heat. You're gonna give him the heat for part 3. You got him teased now.
I'm gonna
You
say
got
that.
me teased and them teased, man. You can't be doing that.
Yes. But
You know
yeah, brother,
you.
as always, brother, I appreciate you, brother. Like I said, you're an angel of light, brother. Continue the good work. You bringing a lot of healing into people's life from these testimonies, and you're doing a good thing, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I appreciate everyone who didn't give up on me, the support that I have in my life, and the people that believe in me, brother. That's motivational for me. Because I've been told, that I'm worth nothing.
Wow.
When they lock you up, brother, they say you ain't worth nothing. They throw away the key, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? So, I have been redeemed.
That's
Do
right.
that make me perfect? Nah, brother. That don't make me perfect, brother. That don't make me without fault. You know. But being redeemed means that I have a new idea rather than the old one.
All right. That's right. That's
Yes,
right,
sir.
man. And I appreciate you, Solomon. I'm glad. I'm gonna say shout out to I believe it's Tennyson. If that's his real name, Tennyson Cook. Getting in contact with him, and then he got me in contact with you. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
That's the angel right there, because
Yes, sir, brother.
getting that
God
connection,
work.
that powerful connection. Because without you, I'm nothing. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And getting your story out there and trying to get you heard. You know what I mean? And I say it every time. People deserve a second chance, third chance, whatever it may be. People do change. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's time. It's time for them to get you released, man. They kind of had you locked up for too many years, man. I'm about to call up that warden and tell him, give him a couple words, man.
yes, sir.
Get the brother out of there, because he's not a criminal and he's not an animal. So stop treating him
Yes,
like
sir.
that. You know what I mean? And being locked up in a box, man, for years, and the people that go, been dealing with getting in the shoe in the hole, man. It's for years. You know what I mean? For years without any sunlight stuff. That's inhumane, man. And that's another thing too that I try to exploit, because, like I said, these people are getting treated like crap, like animals. So yeah, they do certain crimes, right, with maybe robbery, whatever, maybe murder. You know what I mean? But some murders, they've dealt a lot through their youth. You know what I mean? Stepdad, stepmom beating on them,
Yes, sir.
boyfriend beating on them, girlfriend
That's
beating
that
on
trauma.
them,
Yes,
and
sir.
trauma, exactly. And they who are you gonna run to? You're not gonna call the police. Hey, blah blah blah. This happening, and then what are they gonna do? I would say about 90% of the time they're not gonna do anything. So you got to take it in your own hands. Unfortunately, yeah,
Yes, sir.
there's different things that you can do to resolve the issue, but some people can't take it so much. It's so much on their head. And how you mentioned suicide with these people on the inside, committing suicide because they can't take it mentally, not having that support from family or friends. It's hard, man. And
Yes,
I
sir,
feel like
brother.
the system's kind of changing 1% a little bit better, but it's not changing fast enough, because in these different countries, I do research on these different institutions in different countries, and man, they're cooking up their own food. They're living in like almost an apartment.
Hmm.
The rehabilitation programs are 100 times better than the ones in America, and that's facts. and
Yes, sir.
it's sad to see because America is so has this picture around it of, oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
being
rich
big
and
brother.
wealthy,
You know. Yeah, it's
you
being
know.
big brother of the world. You know.
Right, and it's not even like that. When America, you got homeless down in LA on Skid Row
Mm-hmm.
living like it's the third world country, and it's worse than your third world countries, and you know what I mean, stuff like that, and it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I get
bro.
it, brother.
It's sad, but some people, don't get me wrong, and you can agree on this with me. Some people do deserve to get locked up. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir, brother. Yeah.
Whether it
Some.
be domestic violence cases, cases against children,
Mhm.
uh, but even that too. I
Mhm.
mean, This is gonna sound sickening, but a lot of those people that do that,
Mhm.
they've been touched or whatever when they were younger.
Yes,
You know
sir,
what I
brother.
mean? So it's
Trauma gives
sad,
birth to trauma, brother.
right? It's sad, and then once they get out, they gotta register as a sex offender, whatever it may be. But it's like, think deeper in the issue. Yeah, you're not supposed to, you're supposed to learn right from wrong, whatever it may be, but don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? And,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm glad I had the opportunity, to meet you. I know I'm kind of going on and on, but I got the opportunity to meet you and get to know you as a person. And once you get out, man, it's sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. And that's facts. And I'm being for real. Don't think I'm like saying it just to say it. Like, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yes, sir,
It's
brother.
the
Yes,
opportunity.
sir.
Once you get out, man, it's a wrap. And I don't think
Yes,
they're ready
sir.
for it. You can't bring too much heat now. You can't bring too much heat to the table, bro. I told you that already. You
Well, you
know
know,
what I mean?
it's the glory. It's the glory of the Most High, brother. You know what I'm saying? He uses someone like myself from the mud, and refined us and sent us back to get work done. See, work got to get done.
Right,
So we coming, brother, and we coming with a mission in our hearts, brother. We ain't playing. We trying to
right,
resurrect our people, from suffering.
right,
That's the mission.
right. Hey, them universities and the middle schools and elementaries are looking forward to you, man. I'm telling you. You
Yes,
talk
sir.
about a little talk, real briefly. Talk about what you want to do when you get out. Real brief.
Well,
The
I
people don't
mean,
know.
like I was telling you about the gangster the God, then we gonna tour these schools, brother, these high schools, and we gonna establish these forums, brother, within these communities, and we gonna talk about these things. They need to know, brother. They need to know what's real from what ain't real.
Right,
You know, I tell, brothers I grew up with all the time, you know, we moving forward. This is 2021. We have to evolve in our thinking and we want to survive. This is
right,
not 1980. This is 2021. So
right,
we don't develop new ideas and a new way for ourselves. We can't wait and depend on nobody else to do it for us. So let's sit down, let's have a decent conversation with each other, and let's start planning, plotting, and strategizing for our future.
right.
That's what we got to do. We got to take the initiative. We got to take charge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Saladin-Da-Truth, man. You guys heard it. Family and friends are up in here, man. You can't see it, but I got it on my end. They love you. Obviously, they're supporting you. And I mean, it's probably a blessing to them, having hearing you speak, on different things. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful to have you on my podcast because a lot of people that go on these different podcasts, they can't be themselves. You know what I mean? They're not that comfortable
Yes,
because the
sir.
questions they may be getting asked and just the connection they have between the host or whatever you want to call it. I don't even call myself a host or this really a podcast. Like I said, it's a conversation between us. And I think it makes it interesting for the viewers and us just to bounce things, back off each other. So, like
Yes,
I
sir.
said, brother, it's a blessing having you on here, man. We
Likewise.
got that part 3 whenever. I'll give you a
Yes, sir.
call. I'll give you a call or you give me a call. No, you got to give me a call, huh?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna have mom reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah. We'll
Yes,
we'll
sir.
get that situated and we'll get that part 3 going. But other than that, you got any last words?
Well, brother, like I said, thank you for your work, brother. Thank you for this opportunity. I send a shout out to all my family and supporters. As you see, I'm not just talking about it, I'm being about
Right, right, right.
it.
Absolutely.
And Yeah, brother, let's get this work done. We got work to do, brother. You know, we got to resurrect our people. So let's do it.
Yes, sir. Let's get it done, baby. Let's get it. I'm
Yes,
pumped.
sir.
I'm pumped. So I'll give me a call or have moms call me or whatever, and we'll get that all situated. Part 3. You have any recommendation? What's the part 3 again? And when do you think we'll get that done? Just so.
Uh, well, you know, part 3, brothers, when I met God. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
So we'll do that next week, brother. You know,
Okay.
Lord willing, next week.
Okay. Hey, you guys know where to hit Saladin-Da-Truth. Make sure you guys tap in on his JPay because it's $100 every minute. So I mean, it's knowledge, man. This knowledge, and you guys are learning a lot. This ain't for free. But we'll cut it off, bro. And it was a blessing having you on here, like I said. And we'll tap in with each other a little later on.
Yes, sir, man. Peace and blessings to you and your family, brother. And may God continue to bless your work.
Appreciate it. Likewise, brother. Have a good one. Stay blessed.
You too, brother.